Things just keep getting challenging for Donald Trump, and honestly, it's hard to keep up. The MAGA grouping is showing signs of serious cracks, with Trump's biggest fans now turning into his biggest critics. The latest move away from this once united front comes from Nancy Mace in South Carolina. And she's bringing some shocking news that could hit Trump and Mike Johnson really hard. The catalyst for this shift appears to be some pretty grim polling numbers for Trump.
Just absolutely terrible. His approval rating right now is -24. The president is 24 points underwater in his approval rating. 36% of the country approves of him, 60% disapproves. Just absolutely stunning, not even 1 year in. And on the issues, it's even worse. It's worse just because it's so relentlessly bad for him. No ray of light anywhere here. Do you approve of President Trump on the issue of crime? No, by a 9-point margin. Do you approve of President Trump on the issue of foreign affairs? No, by a 15-point margin. Do you approve of Trump on trade? No, by a 19-point margin. Do you approve of Trump on immigration, right? He really wants you to love him on the issue of immigration. No, the American people do not approve of his handling of immigration. And what's the margin? The margin is 25 points.
It's hard to imagine a gloomier outlook for the GOP, marking what might just be the lowest point of Trump's political career, which is quite the statement given his past experiences. The situation is more than just a personal crisis for Trump. It's affecting all of the MAGA Republicans who are now bracing for what could be a tough election season in the midterms. They've realized that courting Trump's approval or stressing over primary challenges is a lost cause. He's not engaging in primaries where he could face setbacks, and his grip on the party is slipping. To make matters worse, he hasn't been rewarding his allies like he used to, which puts Nancy Mace in a bit of a bind. Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been dropping hints that she might be distancing herself from Trump and his administration. Both Greene and Mace are at a crossroads, grappling with the internal conflict that many MAGA supporters, especially women, are feeling right now.
For you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all of these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since.
It's interesting to see how frustration is bubbling up among some congresswomen, particularly regarding how women are treated in such a male-dominated environment. Instead of recognizing that their male colleagues are part of a system that undermines their ambitions, these women, like Nancy Mace, often seem to miss the bigger picture and focus solely on their personal grievances. It's as if they believe their struggles are just about climbing the political ladder, which leads them to miss the underlying systemic issues that are in play. Speaking of Nancy Mace, she's been quite vocal about her dissatisfaction with the House GOP and the way women are treated under House Speaker Mike Johnson's leadership. Recently, the New York Times reported that she's considering resigning early because of this frustration. Mace is planning to talk things over with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene next week. Greene has also decided to step down, effective in January, voicing similar concerns about the trajectory of the MAGA movement. Interestingly enough, while Mace is currently running for governor, her unpredictable actions have upset quite a few of her former friends in the party. Yet, despite her strained relationships, it seems that her frustrations with the GOP leadership are connecting with more voices within the party as tensions continue to rise. As Republicans wrestle with internal disagreements and the Democrats continue to perform well in special elections, Johnson's grip on leadership seems to be weakening. There are grumblings everywhere about his leadership, with whispers that he might not make it through his full term. Republican women in particular are raising their voices against Johnson's focus and management style. Then there's Mace's perspective on the treatment of women in Congress. While she recognizes that there are systemic issues, it almost seems like she's missing the larger context, failing to see that these challenges go beyond just her own party. This kind of disconnect reflects some of the contradictions within the MAGA movement itself, which claims to be tough on crime, yet faces scrutiny for its actions and policies. And on a different note, there's been a lot of talk about how elites have been blocking the release of the Epstein files. But now it appears that pressure is building and their ability to hold back that information is fading. The House Oversight Committee is gearing up to make big strides in delivering justice to the survivors, although it's not without its hurdles for Mike Johnson. Today, they shared over 150 previously unseen images and videos from Jeffrey Epstein's private island. Even with this flood of new documents, including emails and other materials, some major players like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel seem to be dragging their feet. There's a lot of skepticism about whether they will actually meet the December 19th deadline to disclose all relevant information, and it's not hard to imagine that more roadblocks might pop up. It honestly feels pretty unlikely that all the files will be released by the deadline since they have the ability to do it right now. The urgency is in the air. If the files were available, justice for the survivors could happen any moment now. A subpoena has been in effect for months, and despite bipartisan legislation promoting transparency, there hasn't been much progress. Based on past actions, it seems clear that this cover-up isn't going away anytime soon. Public involvement in this cover-up is incredibly obvious, especially with figures like Donald Trump, who brushes off the Epstein saga as just another hoax. Pam Bondi insists she's sticking to the law, while James Comer seems to be trying to play the role of a good faith player, though he's falling short in pushing for the release of more files and gathering fresh information. A few banks worked with Jeffrey Epstein, but it looks like only 2 have been targeted with subpoenas by Comer. There's some information coming out of JP Morgan, but that raises more questions about what steps need to be taken if transparency is truly the goal. If House Republicans genuinely cared about bringing light to this issue and seeking justice, they would issue subpoenas to more than 20 financial institutions listed in discussions with survivors. They've been given a comprehensive list of numerous financial organizations that need to provide records. While it's a move forward to issue subpoenas for JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank, there's still a mountain of information that's needed for true transparency. The inquiry should cover a much broader spectrum. Furthermore, there are other individuals who should be questioned in front of the committee. One big question lingering in the air is why there hasn't been any push to bring Maxwell before the committee yet. It looks like Comer has really dropped the ball on making sure she actually shows up. It's almost as if the Republicans only spring into action when there's a storm of public outcry. Now, if we take a look at Donald Trump's version of events, he's been suggesting that the Epstein files are all out there, often pointing to a bill he signed and his posts on social media to say everyone should just move on. But it's super important for folks to keep talking, sharing information, and raising awareness on platforms like podcasts and social media. We need to get to the bottom of the cover-up involving Trump and Bondi. The truth is, Trump hasn't really disclosed any meaningful information to the public, which makes you wonder about his transparency promises from his campaign. Now that he's in the White House, it feels like he's backing away from those commitments, and that's a pretty big letdown for his base. Even though he has the power to release these files right away, he's holding back, and that definitely raises some eyebrows about what he's up to. There's also this whole investigation hanging over what might not be in those released files. A lot of documents, videos, and photos have come to light because of the Oversight Committee. Recently, some new footage and images from Jeffrey Epstein's island have ignited this whole conversation once again. When those images first came out, they really hit hard. One scene that sticks with me shows an unsettling room that looks like a dentist's office with masks just hanging on the wall. It gave off such a chilling vibe. Then there's that eerie chair that looks like it could be used for procedures along with a phone showing contact numbers. And that blackboard in the living room alongside the bedroom images raises some serious alarms about what happened behind those closed doors. It's heartbreaking to know that young girls, some as young as 13 or 14, were victims of terrible abuse in those rooms. That harsh reality makes it all the more disturbing. We're committed to transparency, and any documents, photos, or videos that come into our hands will be shared with the public so everyone can form their own opinions. Protecting the survivors is our top priority, and we'll make sure the victims' identities stay confidential. There's a glimmer of hope that some Republicans might step up their game when it comes to being transparent, especially regarding the Epstein files. Interestingly enough, there's been some chatter suggesting that more Republicans could come on board to support the bill pushing for the release of those files. It's all part of a growing call for accountability and openness in light of these serious issues. Meanwhile, it seems like there's a bit of a split among Republicans when it comes to their loyalty to Donald Trump. Sure, there are still those die-hard fans who will back him no matter what, but a noticeable number of Republicans are starting to voice their concerns about the Epstein files. They're beginning to wonder why Trump hasn't called for the immediate release of this information, and some are even starting to distance themselves from him. It's a bit of a shifting landscape out there, particularly with some who had previously signed a discharge petition now stepping back from his influence. While there's hope for a more bold approach regarding transparency, it's worth noting that even as some Republicans push these issues, they might still back cuts to vital health and welfare programs. It's a complicated situation, showing courage on one front, but a reluctance to support broader social needs at the same time. On a lighter note, the annual Spotify Wrapped release brought a bit of fun into the mix, sparking a chat about favorite artists. The responses lean towards the predictable favorites, adding a touch of humor and reminding us of those shared cultural moments, even while the serious political discussions are happening all around.